What is up, guys? The Strong Boys 19 here. So this is once again another live stream, and it is going to be on answering the questions from you guys. And I have received quite a lot of questions from some of you since last month, and this is going to be a live stream of me answering them instead of just doing a video on my mobile, because I don't have enough space to make a very, very long video, and that I don't want to use my webcam because of the horrible noises that it has been doing quite a lot. So I just thought, why not do a live stream of this kind of thing? Because I have done a live stream of this same thing before, but I'm just going to go through these questions, and let's go from the top. So the first four questions are from a YouTuber called Sedition Through Scorns, who supports my channel and what I do. Thank you very much. And if you are one of these people that really loves to have discussions and chats about more of the brutal, extreme death metal kind of era of music, then check out his channel. Question one: what's the difference of having physical copies of vinyls, CDs, and cassettes versus digital? To be honest, I'm more of a physical person because, as many of you guys know from my updates, that I do a lot of update videos with physical copies of albums. And I don't mind the digital phase of listening to music, but all you get from it is just the picture of the album and the tracks, and that's it. But with physical copies of albums, you get so much more. For vinyl, you get a bigger image and better printing, and for me, in my opinion, the best audio quality from that format. For CDs, I do like the CD format. Obviously, the image of it isn't as big as the vinyl, but I do like the physical copies of CDs. Cassettes, I'm not that kind of a person that collects a lot because of the really fragile, thin tape, and that cassettes can be sometimes even more fragile than the other two. But I am always on a physical format kind of person than a digital person of listening to music. Question two: if metal music was non-existent, what other genres do you see yourself appreciating? Um, I do love listening to other kinds of music, like progressive music to experimental, folk, blues, and shoegaze. My music taste has been a huge package of different styles. I still love metal music. I have a lot of metal in my collection, but I've got other albums in different genres. So if metal was non-existent, I would listen to those kinds of, and also ambient music. Question three: if you were to create your own dream lineup festival of bands, both active and disbanded, for a one-time opportunity, who would you bring? That is a really difficult question because it took me some time to really think hard about it. But my answer to this one is not going to be like that serious, so I'm just going to have to guess. Dream lineup festival, I would pick bands like Black Sabbath, the Velvet Underground, Pink Floyd, the Stone Roses, King Crimson, to Sonic Youth, My Bloody Valentine. But for some metal bands, obviously, like Slipknot, to Korn, and Judas Priest. But for more on the more aggressive metal bands, I would say Machine Head, to Suffocation, to Cannibal Corpse and Gojira. These are just all guesses. But I'll just have to leave it at that. But those are some of the examples for me. Question 4: any albums looking forward for 2019? I don't listen to new albums that come out each year and review them anymore, but I am looking forward to the new Rammstein album, the new Slipknot album, and I know that Sun's new album just came out, Life Metal, which I need to get. Um, and I'm not sure if this is true news, but maybe My Bloody Valentine will be releasing a new album this year. I could be wrong about that, but if that happens for this year for them, that'll be cool. But thank you for the questions, Sedition Through Scorns, Greedy Selfish 97. 4 questions. How would you rank Slipknot's, I guess you'd say, discography from worst to best? Discovery. I think that's how you meant it. Discography. So my least favorite to favorite, I wouldn't say worst, but my least favorite Slipknot album is All Hope's Gone. It's not a bad album. There are some excellent songs on there, but it's just never been a favorite of mine. The second least favorite is Point 5, The Grey Chapter. In the middle will be Volume 3, The Subliminal Verses. My second favorite will be Iowa. And number 1, my favorite, is their debut album. Can't believe next month their first album is going to be 20 years old. I remember when the 10th anniversary came out. It's just insane. Thoughts on the Woodstock 2019 lineup? I don't know if it's happening or not, because I've looked through a post on Instagram that it might have been cancelled, but I'm not really fussed about it because the lineup is a bit of a mess, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, I would give the organizers a lot of respect for having new acts of a new generation of artists, but for Woodstock, though, it just doesn't fit for me. I mean, the only classic lineup from Woodstock was from the 1969 era of Woodstock. I mean, I don't mind the 90s Woodstock, but I'm always down for the 1969 Woodstock. What are some of the best concerts you've ever been to? There's a lot that I've been to. Some of the best for me was Jeff Lynne's ELO. When Jeff Lynne and his band at the time played tons of songs from Electric Light Orchestra, both new and old songs. It was so fun. Another one would be Tosca, Live at the Flapper. Axiom and Hyperfora were the supporters that I've never seen before, but they were fantastic. Brian Wilson, when him and his band played the entire Pet Sounds album. Seen Slipknot twice, but the first time was the one for me that I was like that excited, so anticipated, and it was such an amazing experience. The Who, when they played the entire Quadrophenia album back in 2013, such an outstanding experience. And they played some of the other classic songs later on, after they played Quadrophenia in its entirety. I mean, I could go on, but for the last one, I would have to say probably my first time seeing Yes at the Birmingham Symphony Hall, and that was incredible. But yeah, what are some of your favorite band or concert shirts? Favorite band shirts, my Sonic Youth washing machine t-shirt, to the Stone Roses t-shirt that I will have to show. I did say that I will show it to you guys before, but I haven't done that at all. That Stone Roses single t-shirt of I Want to Be Adored. One of my favorite Slipknot shirts from the Grey Chapter lineup. And another favorite of mine is uh, one of my favorite Beatles shirts of Sergeant Pepper's and Revolver. For concert shirts, though, I don't have a lot. It's just more band shirts. But that's really all I've got to say on that. Well, thank you, Greedy Selfish 97, for the questions. Guitar Bang, best live DVDs out there in your opinion? I don't collect a lot of live DVDs, but I think my favorite live DVD would have to go to Stevie Ray Vaughan live at El Mocambo back in 1983. His playing was at one of his strongest. Another favorite of mine is Disaster Pieces by Slipknot and um, Let There Be Rock from AC/DC. Even though it's like a documentary as well, but it's got a lot of live footage of the band performing well. I don't listen to a lot of like live albums either. I mean, I love quite a lot, but for live DVDs, I rarely watch those kinds of things. But thank you for the question, Guitar Bang. 4 questions from MJK0. What bands have you seen live? I'll just mention some of them again. The Who, Slipknot twice, Blackstone Cherry, to a lot of Fury that I have seen live a lot. They are an incredible band. Rammstein, I've seen Rammstein live. They were epic. Just some of the most exciting bands out there. And that's another seeing live. Sparks, I've seen Sparks live. And oh my gosh. I mean, I could. There's so many that I've seen live. But if you haven't seen some of the videos, I have done a few concert reviews on one of them. Oh, Yes. I've seen Yes twice. In terms of just artists in general, John Prine, a brilliant country musician who's doing really well at his age. And he was really, really good. I can't remember like the whole list of artists or bands I've seen live, but that is pretty much like most of them. Are you a fan of Michael Jackson or Prince's music? I really, but I am more familiar with Michael Jackson's music. I really do love Michael Jackson's music, and his music is, well, like Prince in a way that has a variety of different styles, whereas with Michael Jackson's music is like on the dance pop kind of sound, whereas with Prince, his music goes from pop to funk and other styles. They're both legendary artists in their own ways. But I'm more of a fan of Michael Jackson's music for now, but I really like Prince's music. Best decade for music. I will have to say either the 1960s or the 70s, because most of the albums that I buy are from those 2 decades. But I have quite a lot of albums from decades of the 90s to some of the 2000s, a bit of the 80s, but possibly the 19. Oh, it's really difficult. But because I love the 60s and 70s, but could a tie be acceptable? Because those are 2 of my favorite decades of music, so I'll just stick to those 2 as a tie. Bands or artists you can't get into. I mean, there's quite some bands that I have respect for, but I'm just not a fan of them. Yet a lot of people love them. I mean, there were some people have mentioned to me that I don't like, but I respect the people that, love those kinds of bands. But for bands that I can't get into, I don't have that many, but one of them is Arctic Monkeys. I know. I do like some of the songs from them, but for, you know, the band themselves, they are good, but they're not one of the bands that are like mind blowing for me. Same with Queens of the Stone Age. Queens of the Stone Age, a good sounding band, but I just don't have like a big fascination of their music either. Uh, in terms of another one, I don't really want to go on about this because, I mean, there are some people that love them, but it's great that they love them, but they're one of the bands that I can't get into. But for now, I'll just have to leave them in. Just those two bands, Arctic Monkeys and Queens of the Stone Age. I have a lot of respect for those bands, but they're just, not my cup of tea. But thank you for the questions, MJK0. John Daly covers. Are you a fan of the band Queen? If so, what do you think of them? I'm not like a big fan of Queen, but I really do appreciate them a lot. I have some of their albums on vinyl, and I guess I'm a fan of Queen. I prefer to listen to the rock era of the band. The pop era I like, but it's a bit cheesy, and it's not what I call like a better era of the band. And if the camera focuses, incorrectly, I apologize. It's not the best camera in the world. Um, I've just seen a few comments. Pecky Peck, hello Motley, great to see you. Thank you for tuning in. But for Queen, I do like them a lot, but they're not one of the bands that are like one of them that has a lot of strong songs that are like underrated. Well, the thing is, to make this better, I think Queen are just a greatest hits band. Like the Eagles. But it's not bad. But Queen were just one of the bands that I just hear the singles all the time instead of something different. But Queen are a really good band. Thank you, John Daly Covers, for that question. Andy, formerly known as Mr. One Singularity, he asks 10 questions. I'll try my best to answer all of them. Best guitarist, Brent Hinds or Matt Pike? They're both very talented guitar players, but they're from two different bands. I am more familiar with Brent because I love Mastodon. They're one of my all-time favorite bands. So I'd go with Brent, but Matt's very talented as well. Best Manson album, Attack of the Grey Lantern or Six. I haven't listened to them at all yet, so I need to really dig into their music. Best Mark Langan album, again, I haven't listened to them quite a lot. One sec, guys. If there are any problems, I apologize. There you go. But I haven't heard his albums yet, which I need to check out. Moonlight Sonata or Symphony Number 5 from Beethoven. They are beautiful compositions, but I mean, I would just have to say Symphony Number 5. But Beethoven was a legendary musician. Adagio or Minuets. or Minuet. I'm sorry that I've butchered those names. Um, I can't really answer them because I haven't listened to them like properly. But I'll have to listen to them, and I'll reply to your comments and pick which one I like more. What is the worst song from the Beatles' greatest hits? Um, I know music is subjective, but I don't think the Beatles have made like a lot of worst songs. But I'm not saying that I defend the Beatles so highly, but the Beatles were just one of the bands that just never make songs that are considered like worst, for me at least. I mean, people would say Revolution Number 9 or Wild Honey Pie from the White Album, or just the fillers of Dig It and Maggie May from Let It Be, excuse me. But I think my least favourite to be better for me on the Beatles' greatest hits, um, I don't know. I can't really think, but they've made so many classic greatest hits. I will have to say either the Ballad of John and Yoko. Not that it's a bad track, but it's a track that I'm not like um, a big fan like the other classic hits. Or no, Free as a Bird. That's a really good song, but I don't listen to it that much. Either of those two, really, but they're not bad songs. So, yeah. Elvis or Eminem? Okay, so you're asking a question of picking an artist from two different generations. Elvis Presley from the rock and roll period, or Eminem from the Detroit hip hop rap scene. I love both, um, but I would say Eminem. I mean, I love Elvis Presley, but I would have to say Eminem. Also, if this stream's lagging, I'm so sorry because it looks lagging to me from what I can see. But I love some of Eminem's music, even though I don't like Revival. Revival is it's one of the worst albums of the decade, in my opinion. So yeah, but Eminem is still one of the first favorite artists I've ever listened to. Favorite Black Sabbath vocalist, I would still say Ozzy Osbourne. Yes, I know sometimes later on his voice goes flat and off pitch on the reunion era of Sabbath, but Ozzy's vocals were more distinctive and that they have a better raw sound for Black Sabbath's music. Ronnie James Dio, I love his voice. I love his vocals. Love his voice. I love his voice, but sometimes he just doesn't suit the sound on some of their best songs. Really great, underappreciated vocalist from the later period of Black Sabbath. So I would just stick with Ozzy. Leave or remain. I don't know what you mean by that. Leave or remain. If it's on the politics side of things, I'm not going to answer because I do not like anything to do with politics, but I'll leave it at that. But if it's something different, please let me know. The last question, High on Fire's best album. Again, I haven't listened to High on Fire yet, but I have heard really good things about them. So, yeah, apologies, but I've answered most of them from your questions. But thank you, Andy. The last question from Slipknot MFKR. Thoughts on the Corey Taylor Kid Bookie collab? I completely forgot to check out, but I want to hear your opinion on it, mate. If it's either good or bad. But the thing is, I actually do appreciate that some icons from either rock or metal can collaborate with another genre style artist, but it depends if it sounds good or sounds bad. Do you know what I mean? So I need to check that collaboration out, but I want to see your thoughts on this. And the last two comments are from Peggy Peck, and which I've replied to both of them a month ago. But thank you for the last question, Slipknot MFKR, and that is all I have time for to end this Q&A live stream thing. Thank you to Sedition Through Scorns, Greedy Selfish 97, Guitar Bang, MJK0, John Daily Covers, Andy, and Slipknot MFKR for the questions. And I will be doing this whole thing again of music Q&A because it's something interesting, and I still would like to keep being in contact and involved with you guys. And I'm very glad to end this one. And the next album review for Classic Albums Revisited is either going to be the Stone Roses self-titled or Oasis Definitely Maybe. So go on the community page on my channel, guys, and vote for which album from that segment that I need to review next, so that I will be doing the review on one album that gets the highest votes, well, the highest percentage, I mean. And I'll be doing a review on that album in a week or in a few weeks' time. So thank you guys for watching and tuning into this live stream, and I'll keep you all posted for more videos in the near future.